Welcome back to Drink Full and Descend, a fanatical analysis of Twin Peaks. How you doing today, Mike?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Good to see you, Cameron. How are you?
Good as well. And we're sitting down this evening to talk about episode 9, which we've been waiting for 2 weeks to see.
Right, we had a 2-week break. We were all waiting eagerly for 9, especially after episode 8, having the bomb in it and not knowing where to go from there.
Right, but of course episode 9 doesn't really answer those questions. We're back to more kind of mundane reality, which didn't really surprise me.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. We figured we would be getting back down to earth after episode 8.
Yeah, basically.
And that we would get back to our exposition and finding out how are we going to carry the story along at that point.
Yeah, but we do pick up with the one thing from episode 8, basically, which is Mr. C, right?
Yeah, the continuing ballad of Mr. C. Yeah, so now he's walking down a road, again on a road.
Yeah,
right?
dirt road, right?
Dirt road. And we see the episode starts with him walking toward the camera, and he's basically recovered and survived, from wherever he was shot.
Yeah, I guess he's recovered. His skin looks really gross, though.
Yeah, he looks a little zombie-esque.
Yeah. I was actually
he's covered in dried blood,
if,
I guess.
I guess that's what it is. At first I was wondering if that was going to come off or if he was just going to look like that forever.
I had a wondering moment of that, yeah.
But basically he grabs this bandana.
Yep.
And that's about the scene. That's
the whole scene.
Checking in on.
It did feel to me like, okay, he's expected to be here. There's a bandana and possibly a sign, a symbol.
Right.
Signal telling him where to go.
All right, so we're going to pick up with that in a minute, but basically I think our plan is to more or less follow the structure of the episode.
Yeah, which would take us to another external shot of the jet that the FBI is using, right?
Yeah, so we go back to the airplane, and inside the airplane we have Gordon and Diane and Albert and Tammy. And Diane and Albert are sleeping in this first scene.
Correct, yeah. And we get Cole gets a call, right? And Tammy actually says, keep your voice down because they're sleeping, which is kind of a cute moment, but also nearly impossible for Gordon Cole, right?
Right. I don't know if he talks quite as loud as he used to in the original run. But,
right, yeah.
So there's a kind of funny moment here where he says, I don't appreciate your language at all, right? Oh, Buckhorn.
Buckhorn. So, what do you think he was hearing?
How did he mishear it the first time?
Yeah. Now, you fuckhorn, I've got something to tell you.
Fuck you, Gordon.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's getting this call from the Air Force, right? Because they have discovered that this is Major Briggs's body, apparently, with the fingerprints and Buckhorn.
Correct. This is Colonel Davis calling him, Ernie Hudson calling him up, like we thought he might do when we were first introduced to him.
Yeah, but it's coming together really quickly.
Yeah.
Right? So we're getting now our FBI agents getting this information that as viewers we basically already had.
Yeah.
They just happen to be flying over South Dakota already.
That's funny too.
Flying from
By
South
golly,
Dakota.
I happen to be flying over East South Dakota.
Right, so they decide we're going to head back to Buckhorn, although I guess he checks with Diane first to make sure she's okay with that.
Yeah, so they get the call. They check with Diane. Diane delivers an early moment here where she says, fuck you, Gordon Cole, I want to go home.
Yeah.
So her first line in the show is saying, fuck you again, which made me laugh.
Yeah, I thought it was a little sweeter here, though, right? So she's like, fuck you, Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then she insists on, if we're going to do this, give me some more vodka, right?
Yeah. He says, give me a minute, I got to talk to the pilots, which itself is hilarious.
Right, and the other thing here is Diane uses the phrase Blue Rose, so she knows what's up.
So she knows what's going on with that. Gordon Cole gets her a couple of mini bottles of vodka and brings them back to her. And at the same time, Tammy gets a phone call from the warden this time.
Yeah.
This time it's the warden saying Mr. C has escaped. And so we see David Lynch's reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooper's flown the coop. Felt like a line that he'd been waiting a long time to deliver, actually.
Right. And I thought that was interesting that this is how it plays out, that the warden calls him up and tries to play it off as an escape that he had nothing to do with.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's going to fly, ultimately.
Yep. So we also, in this scene, see that Diane is checking her phone, and her phone is blocked.
Yeah.
Right. So she doesn't have, I guess, full security clearance or something like that.
I was curious about that.
Because Gordon Cole's able to get calls in through his line to in this jet. But Diane's phone has been blocked. So there's somebody she's trying to reach or get a hold of her that she can't.
Or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting and noteworthy. Thinking about what would Diane be trying to do on her phone, or is it just one of these things where anymore. We're all looking at our phones all the time when we're bored, and I don't know, but
Right.
yeah, that's there here.
I also like seeing the story unfold, where we're
Yeah.
watching characters get information that we already know. It's kind of like
Right.
this detective story that's unfolding. I like witnessing that,
Yeah.
and we get some of that here. Intercut with this whole jet scene is also Mr. C, Chantel, and now we're introduced to Hutch at this area that Mr. C has shown up at, right?
Right. So we kind of go back and forth between these two scenes. And what happens ultimately when Coop arrives to this place, as we meet Tim Roth's character.
Yeah, Hutch.
He's Chantel's husband.
Mm-hmm.
So there goes that theory these people had that he might be playing Philip Jeffries.
Right.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah.
He's
And he's got like a southern drawl, and he fits perfectly with Chantel. They're both kind of like these kind of attached low-life characters that are somehow like wishing for some power from Mr. C or some money, but they're pretty evil in their own right.
Yeah, it seems. And if you recall in that earlier episode, back in the hotel, episode 2, I think it was, part 2, he tells Chantel he's going to need her and Hutch to be at a certain place at a certain time in a few days.
Yeah, so I actually had the question, is this the farm that Mr. C previously tells Ray, I bet you want to go to that farm, but you pointed out it's probably not the farm.
I don't think it is, because Ray wanted to go to the farm. If you think back to that scene in the car, Mr. C never seemed entirely on board with the idea of going to the farm.
Right. He says that's where you probably want to go.
Yeah, and then later when Ray was talking to Philip, he says he knows where I'm going. I took the implication that is then the farm, right? So this place where Mr. C shows up here would seem to be someplace else.
So a different farm. Again, here's a duality. We have a second farm.
And they do mention farmers and so on.
They're asleep out back, and we do see that they're piled up to farmers' bodies dead.
They look
out
pretty
back.
dead.
Yeah,
they look pretty dead.
Another funny thing in this scene that we see happen is just how Hutch speaks, right? Tim Roth having this drawl. Mr. C tells him he's going to need 2 clean phones, and also to do something with the gun that has previously failed him.
Yeah.
And he says, basically, fuck that gun, I'll get you some good puppies and biscuits.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's a secret code language going on.
Maybe it is, because he comes back and he gives them some better guns and the cell phones and so on. One thing I really started wondering about, and I've been wondering about for a bit, although I don't think we really discussed it, is whether Mr. C meant to go to prison. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Well, we did see him hacking into the prison's mainframe before he went there, after his briefcase call in the hotel.
Right, so I was kind of thinking he was driving to the prison, but then he has the car crash, right?
He has the car crash, and then they take him to the prison.
Right, so was that all part of his plan? This is, I guess, what I'm a little bit unsure about.
Well, I wonder, because he didn't want to careen off of the side of the road.
One would presume.
Yeah. Also, we have that bit where Tammy says, wait, he wasn't traveling east toward Philly. He was traveling west when he crashed.
Right, but
that would have been the other direction away from the prison.
We did mention that.
Yeah.
But then it does seem like it's part of his plan to get Ray out of prison because he still wants that information.
And in the hotel from Daria's, when he did find out that Ray was in prison for running guns, I guess, right?
Yeah, and in that earlier scene, he told Chantel he was going to need her and Hutch to be somewhere in a few days. It seems like that's where we are now.
Yeah, and unless he's completely moment-by-moment psychic, he already had some interaction with the warden and Mr. Strawberry, right?
So it would seem. So, I mean... in broad strokes, it feels like this is part of his plan, except for that little thing with the car crash, which doesn't really seem like a plan.
Right.
Right? That's the one sort of stumbling block here.
So if that was an aside, either way, his plan went well, because we do know at the end of all this, his goal is not something he needs, but something he wants.
Right.
The coordinates that Ray has.
Yeah, and we're going to come back to that. We get some more information maybe related to those coordinates a bit later.
Right. So we also find out on this other farm that he's given a big truck, and Chantel and Hutch have given him this big truck, and there's this scene where they're kind of wishing him well.
She gives him a nice wet one.
Hutch says, why don't you give him a nice wet one, and he gives her a big kiss. She passes off to him a bag of Cheetos.
They look like Cheetos, and I actually do want to take a moment to talk about the Cheetos.
What's with the Cheetos? I caught this.
First of all, it's weird. I mean, I don't know if it's that weird to, have a bag of Cheetos to eat on the road or whatever, but
in a show where your main protagonist becomes super evil and then has henchmen who give him a bag of Cheetos to go on the road with.
But I was thinking about the Cheetos because if you think about Cheetos, they are almost quintessential in terms of a, processed scientific food product.
Yeah.
Primarily composed of
Cheese? No. Okay, corn.
Nuts.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're cheese flavored like corn puffs. Right?
Okay.
And really scientifically crafted. I've read some things about their, vanishing caloric density and things like this, right?
Okay,
if you eat Cheetos, it kind of tricks your body into feeling like you haven't really eaten, so you keep eating more Cheetos. The way that they kind of dissolve in your mouth.
Kind of insidious, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a really little moment here, but I think the fact that they are Cheetos, hooking that up with thinking about corn and
also, is it me, or are they the spicy, fire-hot version of Cheetos?
I think they might be.
I think there's the extra dark red coloring on the packaging.
Yeah, but and I was also thinking about Jacoby's rant about the poison in the food and things like this, right?
Right.
And again, Cheetos are kind of quintessentially, in my mind, a food that is not a food. I mean, it's not nutritious. It's just totally processed corn and chemicals. Right.
So again, back to corn, like a connection with the creamed corn and the use of oil in manufacturing and such. There's a lot of connections here where it makes sense. The packaging, even,
and I think they're the crunchy Cheetos too, which are fried, I believe. So that would get oil in here too.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
Cheetos.
And the other side of this coin is that we did not that long ago see Dougie in specifically a moment where he's enjoying a bag of chips.
Yeah, good old-fashioned potato chips.
Those are good old-fashioned potato chips, and we're going to draw lines in the sand here about
I wonder if we'll see,
it'd
be a nice parallel if in episode 10 we happen to see Mr. C eating those Cheetos.
Yeah,
that would be
that
cool.
would be funny.
Yeah.
So we know he's out in a different car now and has stopped over at this point where he's on his way somewhere. But before he does this, he also sends this text.
Yeah, around the dinner table, the conversation is lively.
And we see him send the text, and right after he does that, he destroys the phone, but he also makes a call to Duncan before he does this.
Right, he calls up Duncan Todd.
Yeah, and he says, is it done? And he basically tells him, no, it's not done yet. And he says, well, it better be by the next time I call. And, of course, he's referring to this assassination attempt.
I presume.
That's what we're thinking.
I basically took this as confirmation that it is indeed Mr. C who is behind this attempt to kill Dougie through Lorraine and Jean and Ike the Spike and Duncan.
Yeah,
right?
And that links all of those people back up to Mr. C. And, of course, now Lorraine is dead. Ike the Spike has made this attempt on Dougie's life but failed.
Right.
And we now see that it's connecting the dots back up to Mr. C as this bad guy.
Right, as the guy that I guess Mr. Todd was talking about with Roger way back towards the beginning as the kind of man you don't want in your life. Right. So,
which you kind of had a hunch at that time. Maybe that was him.
Yeah, maybe at least. Right. And so then Mr. C asks or tells Hutch and Chantel to kill Warden Murphy.
Correct. And Hutch agrees readily.
They're happy to do it. Chantel asks about playing with him first or singing for him
Hutch
or something
says
like
you
that.
want she should play with him first or something.
Yeah, so this couple just seems real
They're
perverse.
pretty messed up. They want to torture this guy.
They're kind of getting off on torture. Hutch is maybe even getting off on Chantel kissing Mr. C and all of that kind of thing. Presumably, he's putting the hit on Warden Murphy because it follows that the warden must have helped Ray, right?
Yeah, and that he did find 3 tracking devices on that car.
Well, yeah,
and so there was a couple reasons why, we don't know for sure if it's a loose end or not. But it sounds like he's going to tie that up.
Yeah, it is true, though, that there also does seem to be this almost modus operandi on Mr. C's part of killing everyone who is involved in his whatever, right? Yeah. They're just going to tie up the loose ends. How? Well, make sure everyone's dead, right? Yeah. It's just, all right.
That would make sense. And then, he's got this special technology with him. He's also completely heartless. And for everything we know at this point, he seems to be a billionaire or a millionaire.
I don't know.
He can travel easily to Rio and back, even though he's a wanted man. And he is the boss of people like Duncan, who are set up in the super high-tech office space somewhere. So...
yeah, that's true.
There's a lot about Mr. C that's kind of coming to light now.
I wonder about Mr. Todd, though. Is he running some legitimate business and this is a side thing, or is all of that tied up with Mr. C? I'm not sure. I think it could be.
Yeah, we don't know how extensive that goes yet.
There could be some separation there.
Mm-hmm. Or he could just have some dirt on Duncan Todd as well, like he did on the warden.
Perhaps, yeah. So Mr. C then says, well, after you kill the warden, I have a double header for you in Vegas. So who do you think those 2 people are?
Well, I would assume it would be basically Dougie and Janie, or possibly Dougie still is on the hit list, and the last person to fail was killed.
Yeah.
And so the current person failing is Duncan, or possibly Ike the Spike himself.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I was presuming one of them's probably Dougie.
Yeah.
And then the other one is probably either Duncan Todd or Ike the Spike.
That's what I was thinking.
Because of their failure.
Yeah. And then this scene brings us over to Las Vegas, where we see the Las Vegas Police Department
The detectives Fusco
come back in, which I love these guys. And we see them interviewing Bushnell, right? Dougie's boss.
Yeah, and did you notice how Bushnell was kind of clenching his fist in this scene?
Yeah, there's a specific thing where he's like telling the guys, I want you to they're kind of joking a little bit, and then he gets serious, and he says, strange business, isn't it, where one day this guy's car explodes, and then the next day there's an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
And I love that in this little fist moment, this moment of silence, and it pans by the detectives Fusco, and they all look very dead serious for once.
Yeah.
And it's really Bushnell saying, if I was younger, and of course we've seen him previously with his boxing poster.
Yeah.
So we know he used to be a professional fighter.
Indeed.
Who was champion quality. And now here he is, like, making a clenched fist. Like, he's pissed.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see that he's, like, backing up and has Dougie's back. He cares about Dougie.
Yeah. It also got me thinking a little bit of the dancer in Fire Walk With Me, Lil, who clenches her fist.
Yeah.
That's part of the code. I don't know if that's a real connection here, but it did kind of come to mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
But we get a few pieces of interesting information.
Mm-hmm.
They're, of course, talking to Bushnell because of the failed attack by Ike the Spike on Dougie, right?
Right, which happened right outside of their office.
Right.
Which would explain why Bushnell's there.
So, and Bushnell tells us that Dougie has been working for him for 12 years.
Right.
And that prior to that, he was apparently in a car accident of some kind.
That he has not fully recovered from.
This is the story.
Right.
So I guess this is what Janie E. means by his episodes, or maybe the explanation for how people take him with a grain of salt when he's being a little bit flighty.
Yeah, the detectives Fusco joke about that a little bit. A little more slow than the other side of it.
Say it's like talking to a dog.
Yeah.
But she does all the barking, right? Yeah, that was humorous.
Yeah, and another thing, there's a little bit of a funny moment where the detectives Fusco are kind of distracted after Bushnell leaves the room about this tail light, right, that's gotten repaired.
Yeah, one of them had to replace his tail light, and it cost him $239 fucking dollars or something like that.
And they're upset about it, but they're losing track of the importance of the murder case they're on maybe a little bit. And
some weird little joke about an Australian.
With pliers.
Yeah, they really crack up about this.
And they all crack up about that. Some Australian with pliers that has come across their path.
I like how the one of them in particular just seems to laugh. Like that's his thing.
The main guy that laughs.
Yeah.
And at first you think, they're just going to, make fun of him and roll their eyes at him every time he laughs. But now you're realizing, wait, no, he gets them to laugh too.
Yeah.
He's the one that can remember and remind them of the funny stories.
Yeah, so that's cool. But another big thing that we learn once Bushnell leaves the room, we learn from one of the Fusco brothers that there's no record of Dougie Jones prior to 1997.
Yeah, and they're pretty complete in their research on this one. They are talking about tax records, school records, police records.
Birth certificate.
There's nothing at all. Dougie does not exist on paper before 1997.
Right, so of course they jump to witness protection as a theory, which makes sense.
But they have not seen the Philip Gerard scene where Dougie himself is told by Philip Gerard that he was manufactured.
We've seen that, though, and so we're thinking, okay, well, Dougie Jones was perhaps manufactured in 1997.
Could be.
I mean, I guess.
That's during this reign of terror that Mr. C has, and who, still is a question of who manufactured him, but seems to me that part of our interpretation could be that Mr. C has figured out a way to not have to go back into the lodge.
Yeah,
if
that's what I've been thinking.
He can basically create a proxy for himself and discover the coordinates that he needs to somehow do this.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure if we're in full agreement about those coordinates quite yet, but we'll come back to them. They come up a little bit down the line here in what I think is a really interesting way. So we're going to give that due time.
Sure. But in the meantime here, we see Bushnell going out and talking to Janie E. and Dougie. Says, Dougie, you know what, you can have the rest of the day off.
Yeah.
Janie E. appreciates this because she's trying to take him to the doctor.
quick note here about timing. This seemed a little odd to me. What didn't Ike attack Dougie when he was getting off work? So is this the next day or what?
I did imagine it was the next day because we had a media blast, and then it seemed like, you know what, come in fresh in the morning and we'll grill you and get all the information about what's happened.
Yeah, I guess so. That makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just thought it was a little weird here when Bushnell says take the rest of the day off. Mm-hmm. That phrasing kind of implies that they'd been at work, like Dougie was supposed to come back. I don't know.
I was under the impression that they just
hiccup.
met at the police store.
A little hiccup with the
station.
plane too, with Gordon and Tammy and all of them. They were flying from talking to Mr. C in prison, and that was in the evening where we left them off, as I recall. And now it seems almost like that's the next day, too. So did they stay overnight in that part of South Dakota? I just thought there was a little weirdness here, enough with those two instances that I wanted to point it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be just continuity between episodes or a little jitter. There have been a couple other jitters in this continuity we've talked about before.
Yeah, so it might just be a little kind of hiccup.
So continuing on, we will note those just to see, is that going to lead somewhere, or are we just noticing typos in this major story?
I mean, we're watching it so closely that we do want to be careful about starting to put too much weight on something that really might just be a result of the filmmaking process in some way, you know.
So leading into this next scene in the waiting room, where we see Janie E. and Dougie waiting in the police station.
Right. So
there's a couple really cool things that happen in this little end of the scene here.
Yeah. So what happens first of all, though, right, is the one Fusco brother gets the idea of bringing Dougie a new cup of coffee so that they can run a DNA test and fingerprint the first mug.
Right, he's going to outthink Dougie. Yes.
Yeah, and they're jazzed about that.
And that's hilarious too. When he pops that mug into the evidence bag and the music starts and he says "Gotcha." Yeah, such a cop show moment. Yeah.
But I think what you were referring to is dwelling with Dougie himself and the way he's just kind of sadly staring. And first he's staring at the American flag, right?
Well, he's staring toward the corner, and we do see there's a picture on the wall. There's the American flag itself. There's also some weird lighting because of how the flag is lit up.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a few things in there that it could be the wood. There's like wood paneling, and we have previously seen a moment where there's a strange light near a corner made out of wood with the tone at the Great Northern. So there's a couple things I was wondering, what's he looking at? And of course, is it America the Beautiful? The song starts.
Right. Yeah, I think I was drawn particularly to the flag because of that. You start getting some bars of America the Beautiful, and
which is also hilarious. He's got his Patriot button kicking on inside his brain.
Is that in his head? Is that for some reason playing in the police department?
But totally interrupted by a woman, presumably a secretary or something that's working at the police department, that walks by wearing red high heel pumps.
Yeah, red shoes. So what is the significance of red shoes?
Well, I instantly thought of Audrey Horne.
Yeah.
Because Audrey did wear the high-heeled shoes even to high school.
Yeah.
And there was that moment, I think, where it kind of shows her sitting at the desk with the red pumps.
And, of course, the Wizard of Oz reference is maybe in the background here.
Yeah, this could be a slight one. We've got a couple other ones here in the story.
But
so his eyes follow the legs with the red pumps walking, and they pass an electrical outlet, and then that is what captures his attention.
Which is really interesting because we saw him come through a similar electrical outlet.
Yep.
We're starting to think, is Cooper remembering what's happening?
Right.
All of these things that make us anticipate this possibility that all of a sudden he's going to snap to.
Right.
Right.
And somehow get his full memory back, and it might be this enlightening epiphany moment.
Yeah.
Right before this, when we see the establishing shot of him and Janie E. sitting there in the room, we do see that there are two electrical plates on the wall behind them, kind of oddly placed.
That's kind of interesting.
And so I'm kind of always looking for anything that has electrical in it. There's a establishing shot outside the place, actually, in the same scene, where you see the circuit box that's outside, Yeah. So there's always a stray electrical access point somewhere. But this one shows the two plates that are just blank plates, which usually suggest there could have been an outlet or a switch there previously, or that electricians will install those if they need a terminating point to stop an electrical flow, or to just give a future option to put something there. But I thought it was significant that there was one each for Janie E. and for Coop. excuse me, Dougie.
Either way.
And they were sitting in between this electrical plate and the other opposite wall's outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you connect the two, his head was kind of right in line with the flow of electricity that would connect them.
Yeah, interesting. So you called them Coop. I think that's fair, actually, in a way, right?
Yeah.
Maybe let's go back to the mug for a minute.
Yeah.
What results are we expecting? Is this going to come back as Special Agent Dale Cooper, you think?
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't seen a test like this done, a physiological test on the body of this person calling himself Dougie yet. We don't know much about it. We do know that we've gotten Mr. C's prints.
And he's got the one backwards print.
He's got the one backwards print, so we might get Tammy analyzing Dougie's prints and coming to some similar revelation.
I don't know. I think this is Cooper. This is Cooper, and I think it's going to be his prints without that backwards fingerprint.
Yep, there have definitely been some strides towards Cooper this whole time. Yeah, and so it's going to... I don't think it will let us down when it finally does happen, if it does happen.
Right. I mean, I don't see this necessarily meaning he's going to snap too, but... if those fingerprint tests make their way through the right channels, seeing the kind of thing we've been seeing in this episode, if it hits on the radar of Gordon, for example, all of this could start coming together.
Again, I love that we're watching it unfold, and I love that you get to see all of the authority figures in action, the Federal Bureau of Investigation versus the local cops versus the Twin Peaks Sheriff Department, versus Colonel Davis and the military.
Yeah.
Everybody has their ability to respond, and we get to be the fly on the wall watching them as they collect the information they need.
Yeah, and you really see them in this episode kind of bringing these threads together a lot. There's actually a lot of that going on, a lot of forward movement in that direction, where we're getting close to where it's just a question of what's going to draw all of these other stories back in the direction of Twin Peaks, which is the town.
Yeah,
which is
where we're wondering, are we going to see all these characters suddenly landing on their private jet back into Twin Peaks and such?
I kind of think so somehow.
I'm looking forward to that moment.
This is all going to converge on Twin Peaks, on this place, maybe on Jackrabbit's Palace.
Yeah, could be. That could be where we're heading.
October 1st or 2nd, right?
There's one other significant thing that's a part of this scene that is the unfolding of that information, and that is there's a young officer that comes in the room and tells the detectives Fusco that they had a match about Ike the Spike, where Ike the Spike is infamous. He's a known assassin. This is somebody that the locals have been looking for.
And they know where he is. So
and they know where he is.
Detectives Fusco are off to arrest Ike the Spike.
Right. And we get a nice little transition scene where they're out in the parking lot and they do all comment and point out the tail light. Yeah. Just again, this kind of like split personalities between your day job and then your hobby or whatever. Yeah. And when your day job is busting a possible demon murderer, then any comparison is hilarious, right?
Yeah. And I think it is worth noting we cut to Ike the Spike. Yeah. And before the cops show up, he is on the phone leaving a message for someone named JT,
which we don't really know, and we've gone through the list of names. I can't think of anybody that's
Justin
got a
Timberlake?
JT.
We don't know who JT is. Yeah. But so that's a question. But
but part of the message he gives, he says no cigar, which you can only take as close but no cigar.
Yeah, exactly.
So he failed, and the other thing is that he's on medical leave.
Well, because he lost his palm.
Yeah, not only did he lose his precious spike, but now his palm was squeezed off.
Right,
by Cooper,
he's got his hand all wrapped up in gauze, I guess it was. Yeah, like you do when you have your palm ripped off by a gun handle.
Yeah. As happens. Yeah. And we see the detectives Fusco, even our friend the Laugher, amongst the Cuscos, points out that they've got his palm itself. Yeah. They caught him red-handed, and they have his palm itself.
Oh, red-handed.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So, and he at that moment drops his luggage, and he raises his hand, and you see it's bandaged up. But also you get this feeling that he was 1 minute too late, right? He was basically getting out of that scene and possibly having turned in the signal, hey, I'm done being an assassin. I got fucked with. Yeah. My spike is dead. Yeah. And my palm really hurts. And he was
at least going to take medical leave. And he downs his glass of bourbon and.
Right. Yeah. We know he's a drinker too. That made me wonder back to the little girl that said that he smelled funny.
Yeah, maybe.
Is she smelling like scorched engine oil or something, or is she just smelling like an alcoholic?
Yeah, I think we hit on that before, but more bourbon. Mm-hmm. And he's arrested. So I wonder if we'll see him again at this point.
Yep. So this is all set up. Lots of really good exposition dropping down and explaining some stuff, connecting some dots, and then we jump to the Twin Peaks Sheriff Department, and we get this really amazing scene. I really, really love this between Lucy and Andy. And I feel like if there's ever going to be a spinoff that should just be two characters going out and living their lives with their family, it would be that would be my favorite show. It'd be Lucy and Andy. I almost
felt like that was kind of the inspiration for On the Air, right? This very brief run of a show that so few people have probably even seen. It only aired for 3 episodes back in the early 90s.
Yeah, I kind of felt that On the Air was all the silly stuff that they couldn't quite get into Twin Peaks. It was kind of like
if Dick Tremaine got his own show, you know?
Yeah, every episode is like the Miss Twin Peaks pageant being prepped.
Yeah, basically.
You know?
Some of the same actors involved and so on. So, and I think that in Twin Peaks, some of this humor you get with Lucy and Andy is similar, you know?
For sure.
I love in this scene how they're sitting pretty close to one another, but they keep standing up and walking over to the other person's desk to say, "Lucy, I really love the red chair."
Right, and she stands after he goes back, walks over and says, "And Andy, I really love the beige chair."
Yeah.
And there's a little back and forth, and you can tell, whoa, they're serious. And this is what it looks like when Lucy and Andy are at each other's throats, basically. You get the idea.
But I thought Andy kind of use some reverse psychology here.
Well, what's great about the scene is I look at both of them, and I see both of them using reverse psychology, and like they both know what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
And they both are excited about that to be the outcome.
Yeah.
They're going through the motions. I particularly love when Lucy finally does choose the red chair. After, and only after, Andy says, "Okay, Pumpkin, you can have the other chair. I'm sorry." Yeah. And then she just has this little gleeful moment where she chooses the red chair to please him. And she does like a little giggle, and she spins in her chair, and she's like very pleased with herself. That just a great scene. It was just so full of love. Nice. Really funny.
And basically, we go from there to the character everyone's been waiting there to see the whole time, Johnny Horn. Yeah, this is the Horn we've been waiting to see. Johnny has gotten out of his room and is running around the house. We hear his mother, Sylvia, who is in the credits. That is Sylvia.
Yes.
You don't see her face.
Right.
And she's yelling at someone named Mary. I don't think we know who that is.
Presumably the nurse or caretaker of Johnny or somehow.
Suppose,
obviously Johnny still has some problems like we saw in the original series.
Yeah.
This time we see these shots where he's running past us, and then he runs downstairs. You hear him running downstairs, and then he runs full speed into a wall and crashes the wall open and also splits his head, and he's bleeding.
Right, but I like how this was shot where you don't actually see that happen, right? You see him run in, and there's kind of a flash of light, and I was wondering where'd that come from?
Right.
Because we ultimately see a kind of hole in the wall. He's got a bloody head.
Yeah, he didn't knock over a lamp, it seems, in the shot. He just hit the wall, and he crashed into a picture of the waterfall.
Right.
And there's no electrical involved in there, anything you can see. So, yeah, the light sound and the flashing of the light, what exactly was that happening at that moment?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe there was a lamp he knocked over along the way that I didn't notice. But, okay, a couple of questions here. Is Johnny dead?
Right. He's unconscious or dead because he's not moving. It doesn't look like he's breathing, and his head is bloodied.
There is a bit of a parallel to a couple of things in the original series. Leland's death, which I think we hit on.
Right. Running into the wall of the prison.
Yeah. And also this running theme, though, about head injuries with Ben Horn, Nadine. I am kind of wondering, right? I think there's two possibilities here.
Yeah.
Either Johnny's dead, or maybe Johnny's going to wake up after this head injury and be rational, normal, whatever we want to call it, right? Maybe he's not going to be weird like this anymore. That would be interesting.
Yeah, kind of like Nadine coming back from high school or something like that, where we suddenly get another character out of this one character we knew. A new character is born through, the ability to change the narration a little bit, the narrative a little bit.
I do kind of think that Lynch and Frost are playing with us a little bit by showing us every Horn except Audrey.
Yes.
Right. Because we still haven't seen Audrey. And
this is all a lot of speculation after we've seen this. Like, oh, okay, good. Is this the device that's going to bring Audrey back?
Yeah, that's possible too, right? So I think that, one possibility is Johnny's dead. We're going to get a funeral. Audrey's going to be there. But then, also with that kind of running thing about the head injuries and so on, I am kind of thinking about that other possibility. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes.
And just the fact that the waterfall was depicted there as part of what he was crashing into, and we don't know, was this completely random, or did he see something? Was he trying to jump through what he imagined to be this dimensional rift or something? Who knows?
Was there something that triggered this episode of Johnny's? I mean, in the original series, there were things kind of similar to this, but for the most part, he was just kind of rambunctious and seemed a bit, dim-witted or slow or something like that, but not violent. So, it's interesting little scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll see what happens with that, with the horns. And so they're scattered a bit. We don't know exactly what's going on with them. We haven't seen Audrey. We've only seen Ben in his office. And so we do know that his son, at least until this moment, was still around.
Yeah.
And his wife, or his previous wife.
Yeah, we still don't know if Ben and Sylvia are still together.
And now that we're seeing these scenes with Ben and Beverly together, listening for this tone, it also brings up the fact that, Beverly also is married. Yeah. And we'll get into that in a bit. There's this little flirtation that's happening. But, yeah, what's going on with the Horn family, and who else are we going to see from there? Okay, so this would take us back into the Briggs' home. And so we see Betty, and we see Betty getting a visit from Bobby, Frank Truman, and Hawk.
Yeah, and I thought it was a joy to see Betty Briggs here, Charlotte Stewart.
Definitely.
Reprising the role. A cool little scene. Bobby comes in, where it says hi to his mom, back and forth, and tells her that he's got Hawk and Truman with him, basically.
Yeah, she kind of stops him with her hand and says, basically, I already know because Garland has prepped me for this moment.
Yeah, wow. Major Briggs apparently told her 25 years ago that one of these days, sometime, our son Bobby is going to come by with Sheriff Truman.
She didn't know it would be that Sheriff Truman,
indeed.
Right?
And Hawk. And when they do, give them this. And he's squeezing her shoulders.
And specifically that they would come asking about Cooper.
Right. Yeah. So Garland has had some kind of ability related to predicting the future or some weird relationship to time. I think we will talk about that a little bit more, or a lot more, moving forward through the series.
Right. The way things are unfolding.
Yeah. But I thought this was kind of funny. She offers them coffee after she says this, and they're kind of like, maybe give us the thing. That was how I read this.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a moment where, like, wait, no, they all pass up coffee, which you usually never see happen.
I know, but at the same time, if someone says, my dead husband, or presumably dead husband, said, you'd come by sometime in the future, and when you do, give them this thing.
Right.
They want to get to it.
They're anxious to get to it. And that thing turns out to be hidden in a secret place that is inside of their red chair.
Yeah.
And, of course, 2 scenes before this, we've just gone through this funny moment where Lucy and Andy have decidedly come together to purchase a red chair that looks very similar to this one.
Yeah, very similar, although this one seems of an older style, for whatever that's worth. It reminds me of a chair my grandma has and has had for decades,
Yeah, and I also thought it was reminiscent of the furniture that's in the waiting room, the striped floored room, the Black Lodge, whatever we're calling that room.
Yeah, absolutely. But a nice sturdy chair, right? But it's got a hiding place.
Yeah, a secret switch.
Watch this, and she clicks it and pulls out this little, metal cylinder thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little secret pillbox or something that she then gives over to Hawk and Truman and Bobby.
And then she offers them coffee again, and now they're excited. They're happy. They're like, yeah.
Yeah, there's this moment, I think, that the second offering of coffee interrupts is where she is relating to Bobby that Briggs never lost faith in him, that he knew that one day he would be in a good situation.
Yeah, of course.
And that here he is. He's recovered. He was so far away from where he is now back then.
And we can recall that scene, though, from the original run where Briggs relates his vision to Bobby.
Exactly. And that's at the double R.
I was thinking of that here.
And Bobby is kind of choked up a little bit in that moment.
Yeah.
And we saw him choked up a little bit seeing Laura Palmer's picture before.
Yeah.
And now here's another moment where Bobby is basically on the verge of tears. And this moment is interrupted by the coffee, and I think is kind of a saving grace and a comfort scenario. Suddenly the coffee comes in, and everybody says, yes, please, let's have some coffee.
I just thought it was really particularly noteworthy, though, the juxtaposition of their reactions to the offer of coffee. Because the second time, they seemed really excited, I thought. big smile on Hawk's face and everything. So this was cool. Great little scene. Great to see Betty Briggs factoring in here.
Yeah.
And all of that.
Cool. So we would go from the Briggs' home back to South Dakota, right, to the morgue.
Yeah. They arrive. This would be Gordon, Tammy, Diane, Albert. And
they meet with Dave, the detective that's there.
But they meet with Dave. But first, I think they're in that space where Gordon says, it's the waiting room.
Right.
Right.
And Albert says that they're right behind him, but he does.
Then Dave comes in right behind him. Yeah. And this was really funny to me. Diane lights up a cigarette, right?
Yeah, she's sitting, just legs sprawled, doesn't give a crap, and she starts to light a cigarette, and then Dave says, excuse me, ma'am, you can't smoke in here.
It's a fucking morgue.
Yeah, that's her response is great.
Fucking pansies.
She says they're pansies, it's a fucking morgue, and basically nobody can fuck with Diane. She's got a very strong will, and yet there's something going on with Diane that we quite don't understand yet.
Yeah, and another thing, since we're talking about the smoking now, maybe let's pull in this later scene, because I did think it was interesting that, first of all, here she's kind of saying, fuck you, I'm going to smoke in the morgue, it's a fucking morgue.
Right.
But later we do see her smoking outside.
Right.
So, and that scene, not a whole lot happens other than Gordon and Tammy come out, and Gordon says, we're going to join you. And they just kind of stand there for a bit.
Well, I thought that was a wonderful scene. It is, I think, one of these meta scenes where Lynch is really talking about his own personal smoking habit, possibly.
Maybe.
You can tell that she is smoking Yellow American Spirits, which we know is his brand that he's smoked for years.
And there's tension in the scene.
Yeah.
And particularly as a smoker, right, the way that Lynch as Cole is kind of looking at Diane's cigarette, and we've been told this character quit, and I did quit at one point for a year or so, and I know exactly what he's doing there.
Right. Yeah, he's kind of like hawk-eyeing her cigarette, and she's just kind of like blankly staring back at him, and it feels like it's almost a battle of wills or something at this point.
It's a great kind of protracted scene here, right? It's very slow. We really dwell with it for longer than you would get. Right. And it's not a scene about Diane needing a cigarette or wanting a cigarette. This is a scene about Diane smoking a cigarette. Right. Really. Right.
Right.
And it was a cool little scene. And Gordon ultimately does take a drag, and, the look on his face.
The look on his face, his reaction, he says, whoa, and he gets the little buzz that you get.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is, though, that they're in between the morgue and the interrogation room where they're going to interrogate William Hastings.
Yeah.
So I did get the impression that they were like walking from one place to another, or had to drive to the actual prison from the morgue or something.
Maybe, but Gordon and Tammy come from inside the building to join Diane. So, yeah, I don't know. I just thought, I noticed that first of all, Diane says, basically, I'm just going to smoke inside, or she doesn't put her cigarette out. But then later we get this scene of her smoking outside. But back to the first one and the text message.
Yeah. So Diane is sitting there while Albert and Cole and Tammy go in to actually talk to Constance about the body.
Yeah, she doesn't need to see a dead body today.
Yeah, I don't want to see a dead body this morning, and she doesn't need to see it.
Yeah.
The last time we saw Diane, she was checking her cell phone up on the airplane, and it said blocked.
Right, and she checks it again here, and now she's got a text message.
Right, an all caps text message that we have seen Mr. C send previously.
Well, it's the same text.
Same text, but it's all caps now, implying someone else has sent it, or it's been retyped, or
that's
somehow
what I was wondering.
It's gone through a filter or been formatted by somebody else. So we don't know, though. It is suggestive that either Diane somehow has a connection to Mr. C.
Yeah.
Which brings us to think of when they last met. And then if you break down that scene, you start wondering, was there some code language between them? The way he says, when was the last time I saw you? The way she asked that of him.
Yeah.
He says at your place. He doesn't say when.
Yeah.
He says it was at your place, saying where the last time was. So it could be read into that way, although that would be a jump.
And the emotions on Diane's face just seem so genuine to me in that prison scene. I'm not really buying the idea that they're secretly in cahoots.
Right,
something.
And by cahoots, I'm not saying that they're equal partners in a game, but that maybe she knows something about Cooper that Cole and the rest of us don't know yet. That everybody's calling him Mr. C. Turns out, actually, no, it's Cooper, and he's suffering. Or, I was saying it could be either that or there's some other role she's playing as an agent of the FBI where there's possibly an informant or somebody else that is reporting to her what Mr. C is up to.
Yeah, that could be an interesting possibility too.
But it's quite intriguing either way that she's sitting here getting this information.
Yeah, and I definitely at first thought, oh, she's getting the text message from Mr. C. Mm-hmm. But on the second viewing, which was the same night for me on Sunday night, I noticed, oh, this is in all caps, so that's odd. Right. Yeah, so what's going on here? And the phrase itself we haven't really talked about yet, I don't think.
Yeah, you mentioned it once. Mm-hmm. Around the dinner table.
The conversation is lively. And it feels almost like a mnemonic or something, but I couldn't find anything that would refer to. But just the catchiness of the phrase, right? Yeah. Or I guess this would be another possibility as a kind of trigger phrase, right? Like for something or other, certainly some kind of code. Mm-hmm. The only table I can think of with reference to Twin Peaks is the Formica table in the convenience store scene in Fire Walk With Me. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what to do with this, unless it's code for saying that, I don't know, something like these spirits are gathering around the table, or I don't know.
Yeah, I would kind of break it down to its general symbolic meaning, which would imply, okay, you're talking about dinner, you're talking about eating, you're talking about food.
Yeah.
That has come up a few times, whether it's the chips or the corn or whatnot, taking something in. And then the conversation is lively. You're talking about chattering or a lot of talk.
Yeah.
Or just the fact that could mean, I mean, if we're to speculate, what would Mr. C need to send somebody?
Yeah.
Maybe he's saying, okay, people are talking now. People are starting to perk up and understand what we're up to here. Kind of think it might be something like that. But again, it's speculation. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
but it's definitely something to remember that we're expecting will come back.
I'm sure. This has to connect up to something, I would presume. Yeah.
So there's a few other things we get in this morgue scene as well. One is the exposition that we get from Dave Mackley. Is that his name? Mm-hmm. And so this is the cop that's the main officer that has investigated William Hastings in South Dakota.
And he tells us that Hastings' secretary died in a car explosion. I think that was one big piece of information we did not previously have as viewers.
And he goes by it so quickly, too. You're like, wait, so they say, within him getting arrested, the next day, he says, his wife is murdered by his lawyer, which we know was a setup because we saw Mr. C do it.
We saw that.
And the secretary in question died in a car explosion.
Yeah, we did see them wiring her car with that jack stuff. But something is weird to me about all of this and how it fits together. I still can't quite figure it out. Mr. C wanted information from that secretary, I thought.
Which supposedly Ray claims he memorized, and there were numbers and
Ray was
supposedly coordinates.
Ray did get it, I guess. And then they killed her, but it seemed like Mr. C was involved in the setup of wiring her car with Jack to kill her, at least before he had the information. So I'm just, I'm kind of wondering how this all fits together.
And just to follow your trail here, what makes you think that was the secretary's car that they were wiring?
I think they said so.
Okay.
We can go back and double check.
Yeah, I do remember some point where he said Jack, he basically admits to Daria he killed Jack right after he wired the car. I remember that, but I don't remember there being some specific wiring of a car. And I also don't remember seeing any other car explosion happening before other than what we saw of Dougie's car.
We definitely did not see this car explosion where the secretary died. Or
any hint of it before it's mentioned right here.
Yeah, other than just the Jack scene, and I do think that they mention in that scene or somewhere around there that it is the secretary's car that Jack was wiring up. But what I was trying to ask is why would Mr. C be killing her before he had the information, right? Like, it would make sense to me if he was killing her after he had the information, tying up loose ends. Just a little weirdness here, I think, right? With the blowing up of the car and the relationship to Mr. C wanting this information, and also Mr. C's relationship to these murders otherwise, right? Like we see him killing Phyllis and framing George, but who killed Ruth? right?
Yeah, so we know that Mr. C is definitely connected to William Hastings.
Yeah.
And there's a few other things that we get from this scene where basically Dave Mackley is explaining to Cole and to Albert and to Tammy a couple of things. First of all, again, back to Briggs's body not being aged is mentioned in this scene. Also, from Constance the Coroner, they find out that there was a ring found inside the body, and that ring is inscribed by Janie E. to Dougie.
Yep. We'd seen this before as well, but it is it's exciting to see our FBI agents
to see them learning it
on the case.
Yeah, and then Cole pulls Albert aside and says, let's have a little recap.
Let's think out loud.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And points out like, hey, our friend Cooper was not only in the same area, but knew Briggs at this time 25 years ago. Yeah. And so they're wondering if Coop has something to do it
now again. Because, thinking about Mr. C is who they're referring to here, of course. Have they just been visiting in South Dakota? So, very exciting stuff. And he also mentions that Bill Hastings had a blog. Dave mentions this.
He has a blog where he's investigating possible interdimensional travel.
Yeah, and the last entry was about going to meet the Major.
Ooh. The Major. So in this scene, they said, we need to speak with William Hastings.
Yeah.
And via a smoke break, they get to the interrogation room, and we see Tammy sitting down with William Hastings.
Yeah, so cool little thing here. If people aren't aware yet, Bill Hastings' website exists.
It exists. You can go to it right now.
Searchforthezone.com.
Searchforthezone.com.
So they did one of these cool little things where they built a website, and the website itself is hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's dated. You can tell when it comes from. Even it's the type of like
totally
flash that you're seeing.
Yeah, there's an ad for Netscape on there.
Yeah, we have a couple cool links to the work of Robert Heinlein, sci-fi writer, who's written a number of great things. Also Nikola Tesla.
I went through this and sort of checked it out. Mostly just fun. There are links to a few texts about, many worlds interpretations of quantum mechanics.
Right.
There's an article that is kind of biography of Hugh Everett, who was involved with that many worlds interpretation, and also involved with nuclear weapons technology experiments.
Correct.
We've
seen that through the Jack Parsons stuff and Secret History and whatnot.
But again, Hugh Everett, real person, right? So, some of these links are to, like, Scientific American and stuff like that. They're totally real.
The links to Tesla really connect the electricity stuff going on here and to Tesla's work in electricity and really being profoundly ahead of the game of understanding electricity more than anybody else of his era.
And there's a link to a website called the Grant Chronicles, which seems to be a really existing person who has something kind of similar to Bill Hastings' fictional thing going on, right? Like kind of conspiratorial thing. I haven't dug deep into that. I just looked at the one thing that there was a direct link to. And one of the coolest things, at the very bottom of the page, there are a set of coordinates.
Right.
And they're kind of hard to see. Two things here. If you click on them, it's a link. It cuts to a video of that convenience store from Part 8.
Right.
But people have also, if you take those coordinates and you plug them in to see where it is, people have done this.
Yeah.
I didn't do it myself. I just read about other people doing it.
Right.
Apparently, it is giving you a location in the Black Hills of South Dakota.
Yes.
So, cool, right? And, the long and short of it is largely this whole thing seems to be a kind of guerrilla advertisement for the soundtrack of the series and so on. But it's a cool little thing. Also, perhaps worthy of note here is it says it was last updated in November of 2015. So one of the things we've been wondering about a little bit is exactly what year it is, what date it is here in the narrative of the return. Okay, now we've got 2015. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love this as a possible marketing ploy. I love it more in its own meta value as an interdimensional act upon the viewers of this show. It's really, he's not only breaking the fourth wall, there's going to be somebody out there that has taken maybe a little too much LSD ketamine mixed together that is going to fall down into one of these rabbit holes and is going to need some major help getting back out of it.
Maybe.
You have these elements that I was mentioning before, where I kind of think that there is a little bit of an interactive kind of psychological thing happening here.
Yeah.
And because this show has always had this cult following, Lynch and Frost knew very well, I imagine, that people would be watching this very, very closely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I even saw today someone on Reddit claiming to have gone to that spot in South Dakota.
That's what I'm picturing. They're probably getting visitors there now.
So
one of which will probably claim maybe they actually went into another dimension, or their foot got stuck there for a second.
Yeah, let's go to the foot. That's all right. That's enough on the website, but encourage people to check it out.
But it is amazing that they would go to that level, that there's this other thing going on there. Mm-hmm.
So Jerry Horn.
External woods, we see Jerry Horn. He looks afraid. His foot seems to be stuck in this one position, and that you get the camera angle of it.
Yeah, it talks to him.
And his foot is talking to him. It says,
"I am not your foot."
And just knowing some of David Lynch's previous projects, some of his short films or Dumbland.
Oh, man.
I really wonder. I think this is maybe Lynch's voice itself.
Yeah.
Because in the recordings, in his audio recordings for his band and such, he's got some of these moments where he prefers certain types of effects, and I think this is one of them.
Yeah, very well maybe.
It also goes along with the possibility of the arm. I am the arm. I am not your foot. So there's a couple of things like that it brings up.
But, we were talking about Jerry and back in part 7 and how that whole scene where I don't know where I am and I think I'm high. And it seems to me like we're picking up right from there, more or less.
I think so. This whole time he's been
weird
there.
Experience in the woods. And I guess, okay, maybe he's just really, really high. But particularly with the foot thing, I'm thinking, no, there's some kind of...
Well, I just love that it could be either or. He could be eating a little bit too many of his own brownies.
I think, I mean, there is the either or, and I love the ambiguity.
Yeah, but it would work if his foot is stuck in another dimension and suddenly it's given voice and embodied consciousness. And it's explaining to him, hey, I'm not your foot.
Yeah.
I'm a whole, and where that could lead is just quite a trip in itself.
I laughed so much during this scene.
Yeah,
I think ultimately
hilarious.
he yells at it to go away before he kind of does the flip onto his ass.
Yeah, and he tries grabbing it once really quickly with that kind of action where you're afraid to get burned, so you're going to do it fast kind of thing that he does.
Yeah, but it also seems like, you talk about it being stuck. Jerry does not seem to be in control of this foot.
Yeah.
So another parallel here are the numb arms, right?
Yeah,
Teresa Banks's arm, Dougie's arm, and so on. You might think about that.
Definitely some parallels there, and definitely very strange. So this is also an experience he's having right in between these scenes where we're talking about Bill Hastings' search for access to another dimension.
Yeah.
From this scene, we go back to the Twin Peaks Sheriff Department.
Chad.
And we see Chad taking a lunch break in the conference room.
It's kind of like 2 shitty Swanson's dinners, it looks like.
I think he's got 3 plastic plates in this scene.
But 2 of them in particular look like your crappy microwave Swanson's.
Right.
Or
and the third one is a healthy choice or something.
Yeah.
That's what I get the
And
impression.
it looks a lot like he's eating some corn, like some creamed corn or something.
Yeah.
In there. And he's got a magazine set up and... Fucking Chad.
But he's got a lot of stuff like flayed out in front of him.
There are rules, Chad.
Yeah, and he calls first of all the sheriff, and in the chain of command, the sheriff tells you can't eat in here, take your food out of here. And he says, but you guys will have coffee and donuts in here all the time.
Yeah.
So you see that he's subordinate, actually.
It's a free country, isn't it?
It's a little...
You remember saying that in the earlier episode.
Yeah, and it's just a little example, a little detail. It's not a big issue, but he is being subordinate here to Sheriff Truman.
Right, he does ultimately leave, and there's that awkwardness where he clearly needs help with the door.
Yeah, and Hawk stares at him a little bit. Awesome. Yeah.
I really enjoy the character of Chad.
Yeah, for sure.
And how well fleshed out the character is. Because I feel like I know that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he finally gets out of there, and then I love that the next thing that Truman says is, Bobby, open a window.
Yeah, he's got to air the place out, because either his food stinks or he stinks, or they just don't want to be reminded that he was sitting there.
Well, I imagine it smells just like that kind of smell you get if you heat up one of those dinners. There's this particular kind of chemically smell.
He was eating roast beef, mashed potatoes, and lasagna. By the way. Just mixing everything together.
Was that what it was?
No, I'm just saying it's he's got a mixture of things that normally you wouldn't eat together.
Right, exactly. You definitely had like 3 distinct things.
Yeah.
But so Bobby opens the window, but then Bobby's been toying with Truman and Hawk a little bit.
Yeah, he knows how to open more than just the window in this scene, right? So
yeah, they're trying to figure out how to open that cylinder thing, and he's just sitting there kind of smiling at him.
And I love, like you said, he says, are you toying with us? And Bobby says, yeah, kind of, a little.
Kind of, a little. Because I don't know how to open that.
Since we came from my mom's place, I've been thinking, when are you going to ask me?
But I think Bobby also really enjoyed the way that the Major's message and clues were to him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's like, oh, yeah, he's done it again.
He's like, I know how to open that thing because my dad brought one of these home one night and showed me.
Right. You know? So he says, let's go outdoors. And it seems that if you ever come across one of these things, the basic thing you need to do is smash it on the ground.
Yep.
It'll make a sound. A tone will play. You wait for the tone to end and then smash it on the ground again. And it'll open up.
And that tone did remind me a little bit of the tone in the Great Northern.
Yeah, I thought so too. But again, some other sound, and also the sleekness of it. You wonder, is this some alien technology or some super secret thing that Briggs has come up with?
I don't know. Do things like this exist in the real world? Maybe.
But Bobby's only encountered one once before, and that was through Briggs.
And he brought it home from work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what is this, alien technology or something that he's got onto? And so they smash it, and then inside they find 2 little bits of paper.
Yeah, and this was really cool.
This is really, really cool. So this is connecting some dots.
It's like pause button.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you pause on it, and you see that. What's interesting just to note, as we do this podcast and we take notes, both of us did draw this.
Yeah, we drew it in our notes, both of us.
And we were both probably thrilled to draw it. Like, okay, here's the Twin Peaks. And then, So we see roughly the Twin Peaks. We see a circle over the left one, and the symbol from the playing card is over the right peak.
Right, this little kind of demon-looking figure. And then there's kind of a crescent above that figure, I noticed too, right? The what you're calling the Twin Peaks is also the symbol that... I think this is the one that was on Major Briggs in the original
Or it's part
series.
of it. I seem to remember 3 triangles being on this symbol. But it's in Secret History talks about this too, where Dougie Milford, the Log Lady... Carl Rod, and then later on during the original run of the show, Major Briggs all have been abducted by possibly aliens or interdimensional, at least had strange metaphysical experiences where they were marked
and had symbols like this
with these symbols that were very similar to what we're seeing on this paper.
I do recall in the original run that the symbol on Major Briggs is a little different than the one on Margaret Lanterman.
But it still had kind of this triangular...
But very similar at the same time. Yeah.
We also see the 253 as a time represented, and also 253 as 253 yards east of Jackrabbit's palace written, and 2 dates are written there.
Yeah.
And this is where Bobby speaks up and says, oh, he's done it again. I recognize that.
So first of all, 253, the arm said.
Yeah.
Time and time again.
Right.
Bob. Right.
So,
okay, so more than 1, 2, 5, 3. Cool. I'm getting excited. And Bobby knows where Jackrabbit's palace is because
it was a place that Briggs used to take him when he was a child.
Right, a place they used to play, and
this
local
he talks
spot. About making up stories, and actually tells us that he named it that.
Yeah,
Bobby did.
Bobby came up with the name, but it's also showing the foresight or possible time travel that Briggs knows. Okay, let me bury this or whatever it is that they're about to find. Let's put this here, 253 yards away from a place. So
and
he's identified it at a very young age to Bobby, even though Bobby doesn't know what it is.
Weird, yeah. But again, presumably only Bobby and Garland know it's called that.
Right.
Right? I mean, maybe Betty does, I guess, but maybe not. Right.
But I got the feeling that Garland back in the day said, okay, I better leave this planted here so that someday Bobby will know that this exists near this place I've already shown you.
Well, and I don't know if there's going to be something planted there or if this is...
maybe this is the access point?
Yeah, some kind of portal or access point.
Maybe this is where the coordinates point out.
The Major was kind of hip to that already and kind of taking his son there. I'm not sure. One thing I thought was interesting is, so we get those 2 dates, October 1st and 2nd. Truman says that's a couple days from now, which would seem to put us at September 29th here.
Right.
Year still kind of in question for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people, it seems, are expressing this almost total confidence that we're in 2014.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of that hangs on the idea that it's 25 years later, which should be 2014.
Right.
But, okay, let's move forward.
Right. There's a little give there.
I'm just a little not sure. A little unsure. But also this little bit about picking up soil and putting it in your pockets. What did you make of that?
Right. Well, a couple things. I mean, again, it's still inexplicable. This is like the magic combination of things that need to happen in a ritual form in order to break this seal or something.
Yeah.
But it also suggests this duality of places
to
get the soil from one spot into the place of another.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. So
And
go to Jackrabbit's Palace, put some soil in your pockets, and then walk 253 yards east.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, somehow symbolizing that the travel has been done. There's also a second little bit of paper that's wrapped up inside the cylinder.
Yeah.
And this one seems to be just kind of code of radio signals that Briggs actually mentions in the first run of the series, where he intercepts a message because they've been watching the woods around Twin Peaks and recording, looking for messages. They do receive one that repeats Cooper's name 3 times.
Yeah.
And in the original run of the series, they go out on a camping trip together.
Yeah.
This is where Briggs disappears, but the point of it was to meet up with Cooper and tell him that they did get a message with his name.
Well, he shows Cooper this in the original run, and it also says the owls are not what they seem on that readout. That's the confirmation Coop gets of the Giant's message.
Right.
I'm presuming that what we see here is a cutout from that very same piece of paper.
I thought so.
I didn't go and check the nonsense numbers. If anyone's done that and there are inconsistencies, please let us know in the comments or something like that.
Well, it could be a different form of printing it out, too, because in this time we see that the third Cooper is actually cut in half and goes off of the page.
Right, but we just got such a little piece of paper, whereas in the original he had, you know, your normal kind of 8.5 by 11 type paper. So I'm kind of thinking he just cut out this little square.
Yeah.
But you're right, it says Coop?
Right.
Or Coop, yeah.
And then it's pointed out as Hawk is examining it that it says Cooper twice, and he says 2 Coopers.
2 Coopers.
So
Hawk
they're kind of ignoring that there's a third partial Cooper there.
Yeah, but Hawk is, you know, I love his openness to the possibility that there's more than one Cooper.
Yeah, and he's got that in the back of his
note.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Since Annie's note, he's been considering, wait, is there a good Cooper in the lodge? And then this is the bad Cooper, not so good Cooper.
Yeah.
So after the smoke break moment, we go into an actual interrogation with William Hastings. He is meeting with Tammy to his face, but we see Cole and Albert are behind the one-way glass watching.
Yeah, but I thought it was kind of cool that Tammy takes the lead here.
Yes.
Or like Gordon
Tammy's good. I like Tammy. She's, as
she's
Cole
really
says, she's got the stuff.
She's got the stuff,
yeah.
And we see that here, and I'm thankful that they are showing that to us and not just having Gordon say it.
Exactly.
You know?
And William Hastings is in just an incredible freak-out mode here. He is sobbing and blubbering. He's going on and on while he's crying, and he's playing the victim of this whole thing that's happened.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed personally with Matthew Lillard's performance here.
Yeah, that's a very hard thing to do, yeah.
I mean, and it struck me as in a believable way, and, you know, the way that he really wants to be believed, but has it together enough to realize that what he's saying is going to sound crazy.
Right.
But I think from outside, I believe him.
Yeah, I did too, actually. And I love how Tammy is so prepared to, for example, not just have him pinpoint the major, but to make sure he can identify exactly who it is.
Yeah, with the
she
photo
comes in.
array.
She starts by saying, you know, state your name and your age.
Yeah.
You know, and that right there, it's like, let's make sure he knows who he is and how old he is, kind of thing.
Right. So I think it's kind of standard practice when she has him say his name and so on. Says also that they are recording this, right?
Yeah, and so we get to the point where he is basically admitting a number of things. He admits his involvement in this organization that is researching the zone. Now, before we found out that he's got a whole webpage of it, here we see him admitting it, and basically admitting a few other things, like the fact that he was in love with Ruth Davenport. He claims he didn't kill her. He's still claiming it was like a dream that was happening.
Yeah.
But he admits that they not only found the coordinates of this other dimension, but they went into it.
And that's where they met the Major.
And they met the Major
they
there.
Found him, and he had been hibernating.
He tells them that he had been hibernating.
We've been told. Yeah. So if Bill Hastings is telling the truth here, and again, I really kind of think he is, whether he understands it properly or not, that would imply that Major Briggs didn't die 25 years ago, but got away and has been hiding out in some kind of alternate dimension.
Yeah, possibly one within which you don't age, maybe.
Yeah, because
which would explain his body's not aged.
Well, and then the use of the term hibernating fits there in a sort of way. But so Bill Hastings says that they came upon this, and his secretary Betty is involved too. We were talking about the website earlier. There's another name on that website that doesn't connect to anything, which would be Heinrich Wagel. We don't know who that is.
Okay.
So basically Bill says that they found the Major, and the Major asked them to get another set of coordinates, right?
Right. Is this different coordinates, or is this the same? Is the Major asking, hey, what was the address that you stepped into this place from? You know what I mean?
Interesting.
That's kind of how I took it. Like, he's inside there, but he doesn't know what is the access point. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, I suppose it could be. I read it as potentially a different set of coordinates. That there's one set of coordinates that they stumbled upon these archives or whatever that led them to the Major. I was thinking the Major then wanted them to get another set of coordinates for some unknown reason.
See, I kind of picked, because they do say that Ruth had them, but it was they were written on Ruth's hand.
Yeah, and
which
Ruth's
is missing
body is
with the
missing.
Body. But I kind of had the idea that they got together, they found some coordinates through this research they were doing. She wrote them on her hand and went out looking for them.
Yeah.
And actually made it to these coordinates and made it inside this other dimension.
Yeah, I don't know if it's entirely clear, but I definitely came away with the thought that the Major was asking them to go find some further information and come back. Regardless, we get Bill's account of what happened that night.
Yeah, so he before this he IDs Major Briggs.
Right,
Tammy's smart enough not only to have him
photo
point
array.
him out, but to circle the picture and sign it.
And date it. And it looks to me like he's dating it 9/20.
Okay.
And if that's right, that would suggest that there is a difference at least of some days between the Buckhorn storyline and the Twin Peaks storyline. I can't think of anything that would be a counterindication at this point. So that might be the case. And
at this point, Tammy gets that signature circled picture. Then she kind of leans into him and changes her psychological perspective. This is another little clue that shows how good of an agent Tammy is. And says, okay, now tell me what happened. Right. So she's kind of opening up this can of worms, trying to get the full story. Right. And she even asks, did the Major kill Ruth? Right. At one point. Bill says, no. You know. And he describes, he's a little fuzzy on the details, given that this was a really weird event. Maybe that fits. But he starts by saying that he did give those coordinates to Briggs. Yeah, and then Briggs started levitating up. He floated up into the sky, into the air, which we've seen a couple other times already as well. And his head disappeared, he says. Which, okay, I'm wondering, is that how Briggs died even? Like, is it that kind of straightforward? Yeah. Or his head was forever going to be floating around whispering Blue Rose, and his body was going to be Yeah, or detached. Is his head going to become something new, like the arm in the lodge? Are we going to all of a sudden have the head? Right. I could see that. Something like that. But what happened to Ruth? We don't know, although Bill is adamant that there were a bunch of other people there. Who do you think that might be? Yeah, so we're wondering if that's going to be Mr. C, or if that a bunch of other people could be all of the people in the convenience store. Maybe he was inside the convenience store. Could be the woodsman. Could be. He does point out that to him it was like he was dreaming. He does say it was beautiful at some point. And then it was terrible because he's holding Ruth's dead body. Yeah, and he didn't know what happened, but he admits over and over again saying, I did not kill her, I loved her. Right, and then he says he woke up in bed. Yeah. Right. But thinking it was a dream, I guess. And he's also reminiscing, saying, basically that they were going to be in love going down to the Bahamas. Yeah, I love the Bahamas. So there's this whole bit where he says, we were going to go scuba diving, we were going to drink mixed drinks, we were going to look at the sunset. Yeah. But this is all a married man, of course. He's married to Phyllis.
Yeah.
And this is kind of him admitting, that there was a relationship that but he does say it was all my fault. And so I kind of got the sense that what he was saying is I should have never opened up this interdimensional can of worms.
I got Ruth all involved in my stupid search for the zone, and damn it, we found it, and now she's dead.
Yep, she's dead. The major whom we met is dead. I'm arrested. My wife is dead, killed by my quote-unquote defense attorney.
But who killed Ruth, right? In particular, with the connection to the coordinates, he says whatever set of coordinates were written on her hand.
Right.
If those were the coordinates that Mr. C wants, and Mr. C does not have them, then it would follow that Mr. C did not kill Ruth. Agreed?
I could see that. There's also, you're making me bring up another question, is how does Ray know the coordinates?
Maybe Ray killed Ruth.
Maybe Ray killed Ruth and got the coordinates for Mr. C and then realized they were worth something.
Yeah,
that would
could
work.
Have been that way. Definitely could have been Ray or someone else working for Mr. C, I suppose. But yeah, still this question, still a mystery of what exactly happened there, who killed Ruth Davenport, and then the deeper level, more metaphysical level mystery of what's up with these coordinates.
Yeah.
Very
Who
cool
killed
stuff.
Briggs? What's up with the coordinates? What was Briggs's relationship with these coordinates?
Yeah.
And so we see in this moment he's admitted all this stuff. William Hastings has he's blubbering, he's sobbing, and he ends by basically repeating how much he wanted to go scuba diving.
Yeah.
To which we get Albert's response saying basically, fruitcake anyone?
Yeah.
Where it's classic Albert standing there saying, oh, this guy's crazy.
I don't know if that joke quite landed for me. Did it land for you? Did you laugh?
I don't know if I laughed at that so much as I said, oh, Albert.
Yeah. I mean, it reminded me of earlier in the season when he said, what, no cheese and crackers?
Yeah.
Where I felt like,
that was funny too.
Oh, but we didn't talk about the better joke, the whole rapport between Albert and Constance.
Right, I was going to come back to this. So there is something going on between them. You can see right away.
Yeah, their sparks are flying.
So she mentions that she actually knows about the history of William Hastings.
Yeah, marble
that he's a
champion.
psychopath killer now, but that he used to be a marble champion.
When did he lose his marbles?
Albert says, when did he lose his marbles? And she responds saying, well, when the dog took his cat's eyes.
Yeah, which we were talking about this a little bit earlier. I'm no marbles expert, right?
But we do know that a cat's eye is a type of marble.
Indeed, we know that.
And we know that there's a dog reference here. There's been some other dogs referenced.
Yeah, but we couldn't find any direct connection between dogs and marbles.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, that's not a marble term as much as cat's eye is. But I kind of took it as though there's two ways that I took it right away. One was he lost his marbles, meaning he went crazy when he switched the family pets' eyes for each other.
That's
which
weird.
Would make sense, as he's a killer who's switched a head and a body. And so, at a young age, he lost his marbles when he started cutting out the pet's eyes.
Yeah, okay. Or the dog ate the cat's eye, and
or she's just in line with Albert, witty and fast enough to come up with a marble reference that's funny,
right,
to compete with him.
And if playing on maybe here the dog ate my homework kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So the dog ate the marbles. I don't know, but definitely, I found myself. Shipping, as the kids say.
Shipping, that's something I just learned that you were telling me about.
Albert and Constance a little bit here.
Yeah, for sure. They're both, there's a little moment of respect for each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
They both have kind of this hardened, cold humor about doing this kind of very sincere and severe job that they do, where they see kind of the darker side of humanity.
The gallows humor.
Yeah, the gallows humor.
It's great.
And it's great. You can see in both of their faces, there's a little respect moment between them, and you love it.
Indeed.
So when we see Hastings blubbering for the last time, saying that he wants to go scuba diving, Alfred cuts in with this joke. I don't, as you say, think that it hit as much. My favorite Albert line so far has been, fuck you, Gene Kelly.
Yeah.
Just because it's raining and the singing in the rain reference, which we've had a couple musical references too, just to point this out real quick, even though it has nothing to do with much we're talking about now.
Sure.
We have heard about The King and I and Singing in the Rain indirectly.
It's true.
So there might be some other things that come up in that vein. But from here, we actually go to a transition shot of the trees blowing in the wind. It's also nighttime. and it takes us to the Great Northern at night, and we see the waterfall and hear it.
Standard kind of way, I feel, of going to the Great Northern, where you have that tendency to be outside and then move in.
And the music, it was very much like, ooh, that one transition shot and showing the Great Northern could have been plucked right from the original series.
Right. I mean, at least I don't know exactly how to break it down here, but I definitely was thinking as I watched it the first time even, like, oh, we're going to the Great Northern now, before we quite got there. So.
Right, exactly. But we're back to this scene with on another night where Beverly and Ben Horn are kind of wandering around the room.
They still don't know what that noise is.
Trying to pinpoint this tone that they're hearing, right?
Yeah.
So we see the totem in the room that he's commented on before.
Yeah.
We see there's a lamp there that, to me, the way that the lamp looks and the shadow it casts on the wall, to me, I thought, okay, some more owl symbology.
Right. I don't know if we hit on this last time when we were talking about these scenes, but the way that lamp leaves shadows also, the whole frame, right?
Like
putting that together
Mm-hmm.
looks very much like the two peaks or like the owl symbol from the ring or the owl cave.
Or just in general, like a wingspan kind of angles that it reminded me of. But that did catch my eye right away.
Yeah.
And they're also in this kind of back to, are they flirting or what?
Well, they definitely are here because it culminates in that moment where it definitely seems like Ben could lean in for a kiss if he wanted to.
Yeah, but what they're talking about is this tone in that moment, and she points out that it sounds a bit, what is the word that she uses? Says it's mesmerizing tone.
Yeah.
And Ben responds saying, it's like the bell from church.
Yeah, monastery bell, or it's otherworldly.
And he says otherworldly, and it's almost like on cue at otherworldly, they lean in, they bump each other in this moment of like, oh, look, we're holding each other suddenly.
Yeah.
And in this moment, I did jump out of my chair to get a closer look because to me it looked like Beverly was possibly wearing a dark jade-colored ring.
Yeah, she definitely has a ring on her right ring finger.
Mm-hmm.
She has a wedding ring on her left ring
Correct.
finger. We stopped just before this and we're like getting our noses up into the screen. And the right ring finger, I don't know, it's definitely a ring.
I would have let it go, except that there's this flirting moment where he basically says, after they're holding each other, that he can't do this.
Yeah.
Presumably meaning that he can't have an affair or fall in love with her.
Right.
And she says, you're such a good man.
Right.
But when he says, I can't do this, he covers up her hand and covers the ring.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe just as a symbol that might be something. So I remember looking at it a second time and getting really close to it, and there's just not enough light on there. Maybe there's not enough to go on, and it's just pure speculation. Yeah. But I thought it was worth noticing because now they've got me looking for this ring everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And when a moment like that, when it seems like the ring is one of the props playing in the scene, then my eyes perk up a little bit.
Right. So if it turns out Beverly has the jade ring, you heard it here first.
Yeah, right. But again, they're late at night. They're together. Yeah. This is similar where only now we know that she is married to a disabled person who is at home fighting cancer.
Yeah.
And it's still late at night with the clouds and the moon and the trees, and she's still at the office with the boss.
Seems like they're way past quitting time again.
And way past quitting time again. There's one other thing this is reminding me of is actually back to Kubrick a little bit. We discussed during episode 8 that there was possibly some homage or at least some parallels going on between 2001 and what we were seeing in episode 8.
What are you thinking of here?
Here I'm reminded of The Shining, actually. So Shining, of course, is written by Stephen King, but it was a big project of Kubrick's. In The Shining, we have a lodge that's out in the middle of the forest.
That's true.
There is some pre-existing information about the Native Americans that influenced the place and their practices around that area.
Yeah.
We have somebody separated out there who is a father attempting to murder his own child. The father possibly being possessed by some sort of ghost or something in The Shining.
Going back to Leland that you're thinking of now.
Yes, so the parallels between Leland and Jack.
Certainly some parallels.
Yeah. Also between Shelley Duvall's character in The Shining and Sarah Palmer.
Okay.
There is a little bit of this implied defense through the mother, although the mother was there almost as an enabler, that then is challenged with the fact of possibly losing a child and dealing with a quote-unquote demonic, husband.
Okay.
And the fact that it is all kind of out in the middle of this forested, mountainous area.
Sure.
And so there's something about the shots of the lodge that do remind me of that. And I don't know, I thought maybe it would be worth a mention just because in episode 8, there were a couple parallels that I drew from that.
For sure. And for for what it's worth, in my notes for this episode, I did happen to write, "Here's Johnny," in reference to that earlier scene. That was my note on the Johnny Horn scene was just, "Here's Johnny."
Yeah, I was not making that connection at all, but there is that. Yeah, that's interesting. Johnny being Ben Horn's son.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I thought it was worth mentioning. It's interesting, if nothing else, that certain things that we mentioned now might, have more bearing later.
Sure.
Just like the Wizard of Oz references, or also the Alice in Wonderland references. Yeah. I think that there's definitely a Lynch palette.
Yeah.
That is being pulled from, and I'm seeing a lot of those colors throughout this new Twin Peaks.
Indeed.
Cool. So this brings us to our last scene, which again wraps this show up at the Roadhouse this time.
Oh, yeah. I kind of hated this scene.
Well, it's a tough scene to watch for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
Before, in episode 7, we heard Jean-Michel Renaud discussing possible sex trafficking of young girls through his organization.
Yeah.
Now here we're back to the Roadhouse with some coded language between two young ladies.
Yeah, we've got, first of all, the one who's sitting there. According to the credits, her name's Ella. This will be the one with the rash.
She has the wicked rash, as she calls it.
The other young woman who comes and sits down is apparently named Chloe.
Okay.
What's the first one? Something like, you hear about that zebra?
Did you know that the zebra's out again?
Okay, the zebra's out again.
Zebra, of course, symbol of an animal, of course, but having black and white stripes. What does that remind us of?
The floor of the Red Room, I suppose.
And saying that somebody's out again. Yeah. So we don't know exactly what that's a reference to.
Then a bit later, there's a reference to a penguin.
Yeah, this is where Ella says, "Do you know the penguin?" And Chloe kind of says, a little laughingly, like, "What, are you joking?" And she's like, "The penguin." Yeah. And then they kind of both laugh together.
Yeah.
That one actually gave me the idea that maybe Ella's just messing around. So Chloe's reaction kind of says, like, "Oh, you're crazy. You just say random shit, and we laugh at it."
I wasn't sure. You did mention to me something about the tuxedo kind of parallel.
That's what
penguin.
It reminded me of. Yeah, where you call somebody wearing a tux a penguin, and of course a black and white suit like that reminds us of Dougie Milford's Men in Black, but also, of course, of Cooper himself wearing the nice black suit.
Well, or even more so of when Cooper and others went and infiltrated One-Eyed Jacks in the original run.
Yeah, with actually wearing a tux. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, that's cool. Okay, but so much of the focus is on Ella having been fired, and she's got a rash she keeps scratching at.
Yeah, she calls it a wicked rash. We wonder, actually, she looks a little drugged up. I'm wondering, is this a reaction to the Chinese designer drugs we've heard of recently?
Probably. I don't know what it says about me, Mike, that this scene gave me the heebie-jeebies more than the frog moth crawling into the girl's mouth.
Right.
In episode 8. This whole thing with the rash, I was just squirming.
Well, yeah, the idea that she got fired from a burger joint where she's serving burgers, which could be code for something, because the way that Chloe reacts, I thought, like, she says, "Oh, I got fired from serving burgers," and she's like, "Oh, God, that's too bad. Jeez."
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible.
But then she says she's across the street now serving burgers somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But, something about a big scratchy rash on your armpit while you're serving the burgers.
And she's so just willing to scratch at it in public. And I just kind of wanted both of them to die.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Well,
like the entire scene, I was just, fuck both of you.
Well, that's interesting to say. So the question is, are we being, is that the direction that Lynch and Frost are leading us toward?
I don't know. I mean, presumably it's going to connect up with something here. I think mentioning those designer drugs is definitely relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like you did mention One-Eyed Jackson, from what we know of different places like that. And from Laura Palmer's story.
Yeah.
It's not. It's funny to say you wish they would die because they've already turned or something, but a couple scenes before this, they would have been the symbol of innocence, and somebody,
maybe
Jean-Michel Renaud and some other evil characters around town are corrupting the youth. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
But it's also been pointed out that so it's not the straight and narrow A+ youngsters that are meeting up with interdimensional demons. It tends to be the ones that are going down this path of drug use. And
I suppose, and I'm wondering if this sparkle drug or whatever that Red seems to be distributing, I don't think this is a real thing in the real world, whatever they're talking about. So I wonder if they are tying in something in particular about this drug as maybe doing something a little weirder than getting you high.
Right. And, these days in the last 25 years, 25 years ago in Twin Peaks, maybe there was some marijuana or something. There was cocaine,
Definitely cocaine.
But now we do have, like, these new era of designer drugs and everything from bath salts to ketamine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's been popularized that young people are basically using and abusing, like, a broader array of strange drugs now,
Yeah.
And so I can see how they would bring that into the scene just as part of this big update. It's not just cocaine anymore. It's the crazy Chinese designer drugs called Sparkle, which gives you a rash, maybe.
Yeah.
And possibly exposes you to interdimensional demons.
Yeah, maybe.
So they end with this kind of laughing after the penguin comes up, and they laugh at that. Incidentally, one of the things happens with the sound here that I really love is that we start this scene in the Roadhouse with a DJ performing.
Yeah, this would be Hudson Mohawk.
Yeah, Hudson Mohawk, which also, too, American Indian references, right?
Yeah.
So, the Hudson, the region of the Hudson, of course, named after the person that discovered it from Europe. But the Mohawk certainly being an American Indian reference.
Mm-hmm.
But he's DJing, and we only see him for a second, and then it cuts to this conversation. Mid-conversation, we hear the music change, and the tone of the conversation changes. And to me, it's like scoring a film where you're setting that film in the club where the music changes because of a set change. And I thought that was just genius.
I think this is the first time we've gotten an opening act at the Roadhouse, basically.
And it makes sense, a single solo DJ act that then is basically setting the stage for Au revoir, Simone, right?
Yep, they're back again.
And, so we see them again.
Yeah, we saw them before.
Little surprise.
And was it episode 4, I want to say? I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And this song that they are playing here, let's take a minute and talk about that and the lyrics to that. Or maybe, first of all, the title even, which were not directly given. If you watch the credits, though, those things are there, a bit down the screen.
Right. This is great. So, I would like to analyze this a little bit more, and for one reason being that this is the second time we're seeing this band. I kind of got the feeling that the first several bands we saw were Lynch and Frost auditioning to see who would really replace Julie Cruz.
Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting we were just going to get a different artist each time.
Right, which again, this is them setting up, conditioning us to expect a pattern and then breaking that pattern, possibly for the effect of breaking it.
Right, so the title of the song is A Violent Yet Flammable World.
A Violent Yet Flammable World.
Okay, that's right.
It's violent yet.
I love the yet.
It's flammable.
As though there's some big tension between violence and flammability.
Right, and you were telling me the name of the album this is on as well, right? It has
it's on the Bird of Music.
The Bird of Music,
apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just noted that because of the bird reference, still right in the back of my mind, always thinking, who are Richard and Linda?
Right.
What are these birds? Yeah. So
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some of the lyrics in this as well, I think, are worth mentioning, right? Because we mentioned this before, that in all the songs I've heard wrapping up the show, there's always at least one phrase in there that I'm like,
Yeah, and there are maybe multiple ones in here. There's references to being in a dream and a crowd, right? Which might make us think of Bill Hastings' claim that this whole experience with the Major was like a dream, or he woke up at home and thought it was a dream.
Yeah, and in the song it says it is always just a dream. Still, I cannot forget what I have seen.
Right, exactly.
So just like him, he was there to see what has happened, but he's claiming it was a dream.
And I don't want to lose myself.
I don't want to lose myself. The crowd's hard to believe.
Yeah.
He referenced the crowd being there in that other dimension.
Yeah.
There was multiple people there.
Shock to my own body.
Okay.
Seems to resonate with a couple of things to me.
There's in one of maybe the third stanza down, there's a line that says, I don't want to lose myself. It's a whisper. It's a funny thing. Which reminds me of Laura Palmer whispering to Dale.
Yeah.
It reminds me of losing oneself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once you get there, you'll already be there.
Yeah.
A lot of the themes that are happening in the show revolve around identity politics in the sense of what is the self.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say identity politics as much as, the tenets of Buddhism and existentialism.
Right, this
and
question
Zen.
of personal identity, and then the very last line of the song is something about far beyond, or beyond and far beyond. Right, so, yeah, again, a cool song. I do think it's interesting that we are seeing them for the second time. Do you have any other thoughts about this?
No, just like I said, it's I kind of got the impression of like, who's going to take over the Julie Cruz mantle. We need somebody that's beautiful, somebody who's got a very airy, angelic voice.
Yeah.
And at the same time is kind of synth poppy, is not reliant on any kind of like classical structure. Mm-hmm. And I think we get that in Au revoir, Simone.
Absolutely.
So, this basically is wrapping up episode 9. I thought this was a great episode to go after episode 8 in the sense that it brought us back down to earth.
Yeah.
It got us back on track with this mystery.
Yeah, and a lot of things are happening, I mean, there's a lot of information in this episode. You do need to be paying attention and so on, but I'm kind of excited by how quickly these threads seem to be coming together.
Right.
I mean, I know we're halfway through, but still, things are really starting to gel. You can start to get into view how it is that perhaps these various threads are going to start interacting with one another. And I'm really excited, yeah.
And just to kind of in comparison to the original run of the series, I feel like right now we're around where Cooper got shot in the sense of the arc, because things, basically heat up into this moment where there's like a fever pitch of information that everybody's getting.
And it was fun. The Albert's joke, too, after Dave mentions all these things that happened when Albert jokes, what happens in season 2?
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was, I thought, also a little callback to what you're talking about, because if you recall, when Coop woke up after being shot, they say, okay, Lucy, catch him up on what happened. And she runs through all of these things, the mill burned, Dr. Jacoby was attacked, and Leo Johnson was shot. And he's like, how long have I been out?
Yeah,
it was only the one night. Right.
Right. What about 25 years?
Yeah. So
very intriguing. All right, well, the mystery remains. And I guess, Cameron, I'll see you next week when we're talking about episode 10.
I'm looking forward to it as always.